Hi, my name is Jonathan, and this is my Pecha Kucha report for LTEC 4470. What is a Pecha Kucha, you say? Well, it's simply a report that's given with 20 slides split over 20 seconds each. And my topic today is on email etiquette, or in other words, how not to drive your coworkers crazy. So, when we think of email etiquette, what does it actually mean? For me, it's a simple definition. It's a principle of behavior that helps guide our interactions with others. And this falls down to common sense, because how we interact with others is often our first impression. And in a day of instant communication through email, that first impression can count more than you know. So one of the first rules of emails before we start is simply keep it simple and keep it short. Email is meant to be quick. So don't send too lengthy emails, because often your reader may just tune out and stop reading. So be timely about the email and allow them to respond in a quick manner by keeping it simple. The next part is to assume everything you write in an email is a public document that could be presented in court. So be professional in your writing. Don't include any confidential information, and especially don't include any insulting language about the reader or anyone else in your organization, because you wouldn't want to getting back to them. So when we start at the beginning of email etiquette, we want to think that good email habits are part of good manners. So when we're keeping these emails simple and direct, we also want to make sure we use a professional salutation. The way we start an email is often that sets the tone. So don't use friendly greetings, but something professional. And then remember that your subject line is a quick way to get attention. Good subject lines can be used to your advantage. People normally search their emails by subject lines too, so picking a topic that will catch their attention when they first open their email will be an important way for them to find it later as well. The next part is to clean up the subject line before forwarding. If your email says forward, forward, forward for review and approval, no one's really going to pay attention to that. So clean it up to look a little more professional. And it lets them know you took that extra moment to prepare the email before you sent it out. And then make sure you summarize your topic in that subject line itself, as this is often a way to keep it simple. So remember, one subject per email as well. Don't send out a bunch of emails with me too, or that don't have a lot of content, but only send an email when necessary. And especially, don't forward any kind of garbage or spam emails to others. No one wants an email that just takes up their time. Another important fact is to don't abuse the urgent tag. If every email that you send is urgent or flagged as important, then no one will actually take you seriously. It needs to be used sparingly in order to be effective. That way you can actually have an urgent email when you're going to need it. And for me, one of the most important rules is never use reply all. Just don't. When you send a reply all email to everyone in your organization, you let them know that you don't really understand how to use email. So if you have to respond to an email that was sent to a lot of people, respond just to the sender and not all of the recipients. An important part of email etiquette for me is to think about it making a checklist. Think about all the things that need to be included in every email so you include them every time. And remembering these kind of manners will help you remind yourself of the bad habits and those common mistakes that people often make, especially if it's a mistake that you always make. The most important part here, though, is to remember that do you really need to send an email? Sending an email only when necessary is important, because you shouldn't forget the value of a face-to-face conversation. Email loses body language, and that's a big part of our communication. So send an email when it's important, but remember you can not send an email too. And don't forget attachments. You can avoid a second email by checking your attachments before you send it. If you don't send huge attachments either. If you do have to send a very large attachment, make sure you ask permission first before actually sending that email. This will show your receiver that you care. Emails is also written communication, so proofread them. Make sure you check for spelling errors. And don't use emoticons or internet slang like smiley faces. Punctuation also matters, and avoid acronyms that you may understand but your reader may not. Spelling is an easy way to take attention off of your email. Signatures also matter. So you want to make sure it's not too long, but not too short. But if it is too long, you can actually shorten it on a reply. Because the most important thing is that most people don't actually read anything after a signature. So put it at the bottom of the email before or after your reply. Another etiquette rule is to remember the impact of the caps lock key. Writing in caps is like shouting. So make sure the caps lock key is not on, and only use all caps as a way to emphasize certain words, because it can come across with a different tone than you expected. And when we think about tone, this falls into the next point of don't email when angry. Because when you check the tone of an email, you want to make sure that the intent of the email actually comes across. So if you're angry, save a draft. Come back to it later when you've calmed down. Or if you have to send it, have someone else read it and check it before you go. And then for me, the best tip that I can give you in this Pecha Kucha, and one that can be used in real life, is don't fill in the 2CC or BCC fields until the very last moment. Finish the email first, and this can prevent you a costly mistake when you accidentally send an email too early. If you don't put in the address key, then an email is never going to be sent, and you have plenty of time to edit the document and correct any of those mistakes. And though it's only 2 words, thank you and consideration is also often one of the best things you can include in email. Be considerate and say thank you. Consider the timing as well. When are they going to receive this email? Think about time zones, and think about if it's after the end of the day's business, and whether you would want to receive an email late in the middle of the night. So in conclusion, email is all about professionalism. So be professional with emails just like you would if you were having a conversation with that person. So thank you for your attention today, and I appreciate you watching this Pecha Kucha report for my UNT class.